James, The Woman in Black is a smoke and mirrors ghost story. Many audiences today are used to the big special effects. What do you think they'll like about this?
There's a lot of films out now, there's a lot of scary horror films out now that are violent and gory and nasty. But nasty isn't necessarily the same thing as scary, and we wanted to make scary. And what we wanted to do was to do it by indirection, by shadows, by playing on the imagination. We always discuss that what you can imagine is far, far scarier than what you can see. That's how ghost stories work in literature. So we wanted to try and bring that literary quality, that approach to it. And it's about what's withheld, it's what's in the back of the frame, what's half glimpsed by Dan's character, what's not glimpsed by him and seen by us.
And occasionally what's there but what no one sees.
Exactly. Yeah. What's been great, because it's a leap of faith, that whole less is more thing is a leap of faith, because you're constantly thinking, you know, you're under pressure sometimes from people to say, well, put a bit more of her. And I'm saying, no, actually, it'll be much more scary. And what's great is when you sit and see the film with an audience, particularly when you sit with a young audience, and it's just so refreshing to see, you know, jumping, people screaming, giggling afterwards, covering their eyes, and that ripple that you get with it. It's like when you go and see great comedy sometimes, and you get that ripple effect of laughter. Or when we've been getting that ripple effect of fear, and it's contagious. And it becomes a really great group experience, which is why why it's so much better in the cinema, isn't it? When you catch that, and I went to see Dan's show, and you could see the ripples of enjoyment when he was on Broadway, and you could feel it. You could feel the audience enjoying. It's an animal, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you see it responding. There's
an amazing thing about audiences, which you really learn from being on stage, is that as soon as they come in, they form one mindset. You're talking to, when Richard Griffiths said, and it's a strange image, but he says when he's doing a big speech on stage, he imagines that he's talking to one giant ear. Is the image he uses, because they do. An audience will come and they'll find something funny one night, and then the same person will come back and be part of a different audience that don't find the same thing funny, and they won't find it funny a second night. It's bizarre. Audiences take on a life of their own. James also, as a director, has had to watch the film, hundreds of times in a tiny edit room with no audience and no sense of how the film plays with an audience. So it must be particularly refreshing for you to actually see, very gratifying, I imagine, to see those reactions.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
It's a real relief.
Would either of you say you believed in ghosts, and what would you do if you saw one?
No, I don't believe in ghosts either. I've been saying this for the last 4 weeks.
But that said, I'm sure both of us, and you and everybody, is if you're home alone at 2 in the morning and you hear a creak in the house, your imagination goes to work.
Totally. We've evolved to be scared of the dark and things we half see. So this film capitalises on that.
My favourite part of the film is when you're standing on that walkway toward the house and there's smoke all around you. You don't quite know what to do with yourself.
Oh, really?
What was your...
I turned to James last night and said that's my least favourite part of the film. but no, only for me. Only for me. Only because I don't like watching myself. But carry on, thank you.
I tell you one thing to talk about, which is when Dan's in the mud. When he's pulling out the trap out of the mud.
It wasn't necessarily my favourite to film, but it was good.
That was, we were putting him through the ringer. I think it was 2.5, 3 days, something like that. And that mud was cold. Really cold and nasty. And he was very, very, patient with me.
No, it was good. And somebody pointed out to me the other day, you've done that to me and Kelly Riley now.
Yes.
So you're getting a reputation for throwing actors in mud.
I think with Kelly it was. The conversation was when I wanted to put one more cockroach on her. I think at that point she was like, James,
please, enough. You've got 10 on me. How many more are you going to see? It's that scene was, as James said, it was a hard scene, and in those scenes you kind of just have to keep. You know what? I went back to being an 11-year-old boy on a broomstick, actually, when I was first filming Quidditch for Potter. It was the most painful thing. It was so uncomfortable, and I remember at the age of 11, and I had the same thought in that mud that I did then, was it's going to look great in the film, it's going to look great in the film, and that can kind of keep you warm or comfortable.
And that is actually a set, so that's not actually outside.
Yeah, that's one of the brilliant things about that, was that actually it's all really clever in the way it was filmed.
Because you wouldn't know, would you?
You would never know. It absolutely feels like we're outside, and they just dug, and actually it's the same set that was the Smoky set as well. We used that set for a lot. Our Causeway set doubled as a lot of things.
Can you describe the film in 3 words? Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, not at all.
Art and horror.
There you go.